And now I am pleased to turn the program over to our moderator, Senior Vice President of Wealth Strategies at Northern Trust, Jamie Reeve. Jamie?
Good afternoon. Once more with feeling. Good afternoon. That's better. Thank you. I'm indeed Jamie Reeve, as Jim said, and I'm pleased to moderate today's program featuring Tim Michels. In a few minutes, he'll be up on the stage offering his opening remarks. Afterward, then, he and I will have a Q&A session. The questions curated from questions brought to us from membership, though they have been called to be more topical, perhaps. So if you don't recognize your exact question, hopefully the theme of your question, the topic of your question, is addressed. Now on to the introduction. Tim Michels is running for governor of our state, the general election coming up November 8th. He's born and raised in Brownsville, Wisconsin, and attended St. Norbert College in De Pere. I was born in De Pere, but I went to Lawrence. We're going to talk about that. He participated in the ROTC, and he continued his service in uniform, joining the United States Army. He served 12 years, earning the rank of major. Afterward, Tim returned home to help grow his family's business alongside his brothers. At the time, Michels Corporation had a few hundred employees. It now boasts more than 8,000 employees and is indeed Wisconsin's largest construction company. Today, Michels will speak to us on his focus, making Wisconsin the greatest place to work, live, and raise a family. Everyone, please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Tim Michels.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank fellow Rotarians. I've been to a lot of Rotary meetings over the last 20 plus years, from Fond du Lac to Mayville, where I'm a Paul Harris Fellow. I need my attendance ticket punched, by the way. And what we always talk about, I think the most interesting topics are what is important to the local community. What's going on in Fond du Lac? What's going on in Mayville? I'm going to talk about the city of Milwaukee. Why? Milwaukee is so important to the entire state of Wisconsin. There's this old saying, as Milwaukee goes, so goes the state. I have spent a lot of time in the city of Milwaukee, in the inner city, just north of here, Harambe, South Side, down on Greenfield Avenue, down on Lincoln Avenue. And my political people on our staff, they say, Tim, why are you spending so much time down there? You're not going to get the votes. And I say, you know what? This is a precursor as to how I am going to govern. I want to be a governor for everybody in Wisconsin, from Superior to the inner city in Milwaukee. And I've spent time there, a lot of time there. And I'll be there again before the election day, and I will be there certainly as governor. Now, I have a great danger radar, as I say. I've had it since I was a young boy, and it was refined on my 12 years in the Army as an airborne ranger. I'm here to tell you, I've gone into the toughest neighborhoods in Milwaukee, and my danger radar has never gone off once. In fact, just the opposite. I get people that come out and they're like, this is unbelievable. I've never seen any politician on this street. I've never seen any candidate on this street. And you're running, they say, you're running for governor? And you're here in this neighborhood? I'm like, absolutely. And we talk for 10 or 15 minutes, and they pour out their frustration with all the problems. They feel neglected. There's been a saying in Republican politics for a long time. They say Milwaukee is the problem. I say Milwaukee is not the problem. Milwaukee has a problem, and I'm going to fix it. I've been a bold leader my entire life. I will roll up my sleeves. I will go to the inner city. I will work with anybody to fix these problems. I will cross the partisan divide. I spent all day yesterday, Barbara and I spent all day yesterday with Tommy Thompson in La Crosse. Tommy bridged the partisan divide. He got things done. But by the way, one quick story. Tommy started something new yesterday. Barbara goes everywhere with me on the campaign trail. And no, I'm not going to have you speak, honey. She's already shaking her head. And she's great to have with me. Quality time is when she drives me, and we get just the two of us in the truck together for a little bit. But Tommy said, hey, Barbara, come on up here and speak. And he put Barbara on the spot twice yesterday. She did a phenomenal job. I'm not going to put her on the spot right now. But I'm telling you, if I get under the weather like your president today, you can could always send Barbara as a surrogate for me. But I also think she'll be one heck of a great first lady of Wisconsin. So anyhow, Tommy bridged the partisan divide. I will work with the Democratic mayor, Cavalier Johnson, the Democratic county executive, David Crowley, the Fire and Police Commission, the people in MPS. I'll work with anybody to solve this problem. And I'm not just some candidate up here talking about doing it. I've done it my entire life. I've worked with all soldiers. I've worked with all people at Michels Corporation, all people in business to get things done. That's how you become successful in life. That's how I attained the rank of major. That's how I was hand-selected to lead the honor guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. That's how we grew our business from a few hundred employees when our dad died 25 years ago to over 8,000 today. I know how to get things done. I will never compromise my conservative principles, but I will work with anybody to make Milwaukee the best city that it possibly can be, because no state in the union can be as great as it can be if its biggest city doesn't have its problems resolved. What are those problems? This isn't my opinion, what the problems are in Milwaukee. I hear it from business leaders everywhere I go. I hear it from restaurant owners. I hear it from manufacturing companies. Everybody is so fearful of the level of crime that is happening right here in Milwaukee. You know, crime went down from 30 years ago until 2 years ago across America. I think it's because of technology, cameras everywhere, forensic testing, DNA testing. But in the last 2 years, there's been a tremendous spike in crime across America and right here in Wisconsin. And I do believe that's a byproduct of this defund the police movement. The cultural movement that we had where less cops is better, I don't agree with that. Or where cops are bad, I certainly don't agree with that. Let me tell you, Barbara's brother, he's in law enforcement. He's a cop. He tells me the stories. He said, you know, Tim, I used to go to my backyard neighborhood barbecue. And all my neighbors would be like, hey, Greg, come on in, Greg, have a beer. We back the blue. Tell us some stories. He said 2 summers ago, everything changed. He'd go to those same backyard neighborhood barbecues. The neighbors would be like, hey, Greg, come on in, but we're not so sure we're supposed to like cops anymore. How do we get to this crazy spot? I think we got there through bad leadership. I do believe it was intentional. That is going to flip on Inauguration Day. I'm going to back the blue. I'm going to stand with the men and women of law enforcement. I have received the endorsement of numerous law enforcement agencies, and they tell me, Tim, you know what? Everybody in the field, everybody on patrol just doesn't feel like the people in Madison nor the governor have our back. I am going to back the blue. I am going to stand with the men and women of law enforcement. And these catch and release DAs that are letting these bad guys out on the street the next day, like Darrell Brooks, I'm going to get rid of them. We're going to replace them. We will have rule of law once again in the state of Wisconsin. It is what the hard work... Okay. And I'm going to spend a lot of time in the inner city fixing that myself. I will go on ride-alongs. I will talk to the men and women in law enforcement on the Milwaukee Police Department. And they're going to know right from the top, I want you to do your job. I want you to do what you're trained to do. You need to have respect for others. You need to have respect for the communities that you're patrolling in. But know that 99% of the people in these neighborhoods, they do want rule of law. They do want crime to go down. When I sat on those front porches in Harambe or on the south side, that's what people talked about. Like, Governor, or Tim, if you're going to be governor, if you could do something about the crime, you know, hallelujah, I am all with you. This used to be a good neighborhood back in the day, but now crime is running rampant, and the cars are being stolen like crazy. We had a press conference last Thursday. I received the endorsement of the Milwaukee Firefighters Association. We were on this side of the street. All the TV cameras were there just like that, plus some print media. And right across the street, there was a Kia parked. These guys were really skilled at what they do. And I don't mean that in a complimentary sort of way. I mean it in a concerning sort of way. They pulled up right in between with an SUV, jumped out, somehow smashed the window. We didn't even hear the window smash. Guy jumped in, hot-wired it. The security footage showed that he was able to back the car up, but then somehow it stalled out and he ran off. That's how bold the criminals are in Milwaukee right now. And they did a documentary series on the Kia boys. They said, why do you guys steal these cars? They said, because nothing's going to happen to us. We're going to get away with it. And that is a derivative of the problem that we have with crime in Milwaukee and throughout the state of Wisconsin. It's what I talked about when I talked about the byproduct of the defund the police movement. The bad guys are emboldened, and they think they're going to get away with it. That is going to change on Inauguration Day. I will back the blue, and we will get crime down. And that's good for business leaders in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. That's good for communities in Milwaukee. That's good for everybody in the state because crime creeps. It may be bad in Milwaukee, but people see it up in Grafton. They see it in Germantown. They see it out in Oconomowoc, Muskego, Mugwanago, Caledonia. We are going to stop it right here, and everybody's going to know that there's a new sheriff in town, if you will, and it's not going to be tolerated anymore. It's what the people of Milwaukee and Wisconsin want. I hear it everywhere I go. The second thing I'm going to do, the second thing I hear everywhere I go, is education. I went to public school, hour north of here at Lemira, K through 12. Works for me, but that was over 40 years ago. Education in Wisconsin, especially in MPS, continues to decline. Not my opinion again. That's what the test scores show. The state education test is called the forward test. The scores continue to go down. The national education test is called NAEP. The scores continue to go down. And what's really remarkable, it continues to go down under Governor Evers' leadership. If there's one thing that he should be good at, it's education. He's been in education his entire life, and I have a lot of respect for school teachers, but he's been the head of education for the past 15 years. Deputy superintendent, now superintendent of DPI, and now governor, and the scores continue to go down. We need to do something radically different. Why? Because we are failing. We are failing the future leaders of Milwaukee, the future leaders of Wisconsin, the future leaders of construction companies, the future leaders of restaurants, the future leaders of commercial real estate companies, the future leaders of schools, the future leaders of nonpartisans. If you can't read, you have no chance at being successful in life. And there's 9 schools within shouting distance of here where the reading comprehension score is 0. If you can't read, you have 0 chance at being able to get a job and keep a job. If you can't read, you have 0 chance of being a productive member of society, and you are going to end up out on the streets. I'm going to tell you one quick heartbreaking story here at the end. Barbara and I met with a grandmother about 2.5 months ago now, baby Kiwan. We walked in, and man, what a cute baby boy. We were like, oh, he's so cute. And then we heard the tragic story. Baby Kiwan was, when he was 5 weeks old, he was 5 months old when we met him. When he was 5 weeks old, his mother was tragically murdered just north of here, shot 26 times. Baby Kiwan is being raised today by his grandmother. She's probably 38 years old. Baby Kiwan has so many strikes against him to be successful in life. 1, his mother's gone. 2, there's no father there. 3, the school where he is going to go to school, the reading comprehension score at that school is 0. It moved Barbara and me. It's moving me right now. I'm going to be there for the baby Kiwans. The thousands of baby boys and the thousands of baby girls that are being failed today by government. We can do better. We will do better. As governor, I will be a governor for the entire state of Wisconsin. We will get crime down, and we will get education up here in Milwaukee, and life will be better for everybody, not just the baby Kiwans in the inner city, but everybody in the Milwaukee metro area and everybody in the state of Wisconsin. That is why I'm running for governor. I don't have to do this, but I've served my entire life. Barbara and I are very passionate about serving the people of Wisconsin. I'll be humbled and honored to lead this state for 4 years. I have a proven track record of success. I guarantee you we are going to make things better here in Wisconsin. We're going to do massive reforms. We're going to do massive tax reform. We're going to do education reform. We're going to get crime down. And we are going to see a better Wisconsin and a better Milwaukee. Thank you for what you do for this Milwaukee community. I look forward to working with you to make Milwaukee the best that it can be. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for those opening remarks. Before we get started, I'd like to also remind my own comments that those of you who submitted questions, those topics are definitely being addressed, if not the specific question itself. So please understand we had many more questions than are possible to get to today. And is it all right for me to call you Tim?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Michels.
I'm not.
All right.
People that know me know I'm not a fancy guy. You can call me Tim. Some people that know me my entire life call me Mike by accident, and it happened twice yesterday. It was strange. Anyhow.
You're probably calling about your car's warranty or something. All right. So the first submitted question has to do with the tax climate here in Wisconsin. What specific proposals would you offer to improve our tax climate? And how would you ensure that any tax reforms you propose would continue to balance the state budget?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So here's the biggest thing that everybody should know about taxes in Wisconsin right now. You and everybody else in this state is overtaxed. Again, not my opinion. How do we know you're overtaxed? We have a $5.8 billion surplus right now in Madison. Governor Evers, he's running around bragging about that, thinks that's a good thing. As a businessman, I think that's a terrible thing. That means that the people of Wisconsin are overtaxed. I know that money's burning a hole in a lot of people's pockets in Madison. What about this program? What about throwing more money at this, more money at that? As Governor Evers says, more resources, more resources, more resources. What we need to have is good leadership. We need to have a frugal businessman that can look at the budgets and figure out where we are not being efficient and where we are not being economic. Michels Corporation, we have 16 operating divisions. We do a formal review of every division monthly. We do a deep dive of every division every single quarter. I'm going to do that with all the state agencies. I'm going to bring them in. What's your mission? What's your mission statement? What's your employee count? What's your budget? What's the return on investment for your customers? Your customers are the taxpayers of Wisconsin. And we're going to figure out if everything is being done efficiently or probably how it can be done more efficiently. And we are going to let people know in state government that they are not beholden to some economic group or environmental group or people that are whispering in their ear to do this or that. They are beholden to the taxpayers of Wisconsin. That's the way government was designed to be. You pay taxes, government uses those tax dollars efficiently, and it gets things done to service the communities and the people in Wisconsin. So we have this nearly $6 billion budget surplus right now. That means you're overtaxed. We're going to do massive tax reform in Wisconsin. Right now, income tax for most people is 7.65%. We've done some quick math. We think we can get it down below 5%. Now, we don't have to invent the wheel here. We can see what works in other states. We can see what works in Texas and Florida and Tennessee, other states. And we can make Wisconsin more competitive. Not just more competitive for businesses, but more competitive for young talent. Sure, we would like more businesses to relocate Wisconsin. We want businesses to stay in Wisconsin and not leave the state, like some very prominent businesses have done here in Wisconsin. But when young men and women graduate from UW-Madison or Marquette or St. Norbert, we want them to say, I'm going to stay here in Wisconsin because, one, it's a great place to raise a family, great community, but also I'm not going to pay excess taxes like we have right now in Wisconsin. So we're going to do massive tax reform. We're going to get rid of personal property tax. I'm going to get the smart people in the room. Here's one thing about being governor. You have to be an expert at everything from healthcare to education to the National Guard to taxes. Nobody in this room, nobody that would be governor can be an expert at all those things. But what an expert leader will do, he will bring those people together, those experts together. I will bring experts together on taxes. We'll figure out how low we can get taxes here in Wisconsin. And Wisconsin will be more competitive, and we will attract people from other states and other businesses from other states, and maybe most importantly, keep businesses here that are thinking about leaving.
Thank you. The second question gets to one of your main topics in the opening statement, crime here in Milwaukee. What specific steps would you take as governor to help immediately reduce crime, including those that seem to be with assault rifles?
Yeah. So, there's thousands of laws on the books to prevent crime. Number one, we need to enforce those laws. Number two, we need to make sure that we back the blue, that we stand with the men and women that are in law enforcement. I'm telling you right now, I've met with them. They don't feel like the governor or people in Madison have their back right now. I'm going to flip that switch on my victory speech on election night. I'm going to talk to the bad guys. In my inaugural speech, I'm going to talk to the bad guys. I doubt if they'll be listening, okay? But word will get out. Governor Michels is not going to tolerate what's going on right now. And this attitude that they have where they think they can get away with it's going to stop. Now, I know we're not going to get crime to zero. Wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? But since the history of mankind, that has not been the case. But crime is running rampant right now. We are going to get crime down in Milwaukee. You asked right at the end, Jamie, about assault rifles. Well, let me share a quick story with you. I was up in Wausau on Thursday, I believe it was, last Thursday, and met with leaders in the Marathon County Sheriff's Department. They said that 75% of their recent homicides in Marathon County were stabbings. It wasn't gun violence, it was stabbings. So I know that the solution for some people on the left is just take all the guns away, and then we won't have a problem. But what are we going to do in Marathon County and other communities? Take all the knives away then? I know that's a little tongue-in-cheek what I just said, but I've been a hunter since I was a 12-year-old boy, and there were ARs back in the day there as well. Guns haven't changed over the last 40, 50 years. Society has changed. People have changed. That's what I'm going to do as governor. I'm going to get crime down. I'm going to change the attitude about crime. And young men and women that are wired, if you will, to go into law enforcement. And right now there's a lot of recruiting challenges out there in law enforcement, but they're wired and they want to become a cop. They're going to see that green light go on, and they're going to be like, okay, now it's okay to become a cop again. We will get more young men and women that want to serve in their community as law enforcement officers to do that.
Thank you. Circling back again to your opening comments, the city of Milwaukee obviously is a big focus of yours. Currently, there's a proposal circulating that would allow our city to charge a local sales tax that could be used to fund city expenditures, provide property tax relief to residents. Do you support this proposal or some version of it? And if elected, would you make this a priority in your administration?
So I think I said it earlier. I don't know if I was over at the podium or just now that I'm going to sit down with the tax people. Everything's going to be on the table. I've heard all the county leaders and municipal leaders talk about, Tim, if we can just get more revenue. They're already lobbying me, even though I'm just a candidate right there. They're already lobbying me for more money. And I tell them, look, I'm a fiscal conservative. I'm a frugal businessman. I understand the top line, the middle line, and the bottom line. And they just want to throw more money into the top line. We're going to sit down and we're going to take a look at the middle line. Where are they spending money? What are all the government programs? What are all the city programs? What are all the county programs? And if I'm convinced that they are spending their money efficiently, then we will consider, keyword there is consider, more sales tax revenue at the county level. But I'm not just going to carte blanche say, hey, here's more money for the municipal leaders. Now, having said that, I think the best decisions are made at the local level. The people in county government, the people in municipal government, the people like village board presidents, they're closest to the people. They can probably spend their money, our money, tax money, more wisely, knowing what the needs are, and not have bloated programs out there. And I'm not saying there are bloated programs, but it's just an example. So I love Milwaukee, and I'm not just a candidate talking about it. You can see the big investment that we made just a mile south of here with the shiny building. That's very important. But Milwaukee's not more important than any other city. In the last 4 or 5 days, I've been to Green Bay. I've been to La Crosse. We were in Madison. We were in Madison Friday night for the debate. Anybody see the debate, by the way? It was kind of fun. And if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to watch it. But next question.
You just referenced the shiny new building, Michels Corporation headquarters on the riverfront. You're a part owner of a large, successful business. You're a candidate for governor. If elected, how do you manage that? How would you recuse yourself? And importantly, many of the contracts your family's business enjoys and has enjoyed historically has been with the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, thank you. Very, very fair question. So from the day after Election Day, from then until Inauguration Day, I will completely divest from Michels Corporation. Fortunately, I have 2 brothers that I'm in the business with. Together, we stood shoulder to shoulder and grew the business from a few hundred to 8,000 today. And they're all in on me running for governor. They said, Tim, I think you'd make a great governor. We need bold leadership in state government. Please go do it. So we are currently working with some of the best ethics attorneys in the state, some of the best ethics attorneys in the country. They're applying that to Wisconsin ethics laws, and there will be no conflict of interest after I'm sworn in as governor.
Election integrity and fair access to the polls for all voters are major concerns for Wisconsin citizens. What specific policies do you think need to be advanced in order to ensure that all Wisconsinites who want to can vote and that our elections are fair and reliable?
Yeah, it's a great topic. I get really fired up about this topic because I swore an oath to the Constitution. All you veterans out there, you know what I'm talking about. I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. If we don't have election integrity in this country, if we don't have election integrity in the state of Wisconsin, our entire constitutional system comes crumbling down. Everywhere I go, I get this question: Tim, was the election rigged? Was the election fixed? People have questions, so do I. Here's the frustrating part. The election was 23 months ago, and we're still talking about it today. This is not a Republican issue. This is an American issue. I don't care if you're a Republican, an independent, a Democrat. Nobody should want to come to a Rotary meeting or any other family gathering, wherever, and have people saying, what do you think about that election? Was it fair? We're going to stop those conversations. I'm a candidate today. I wish that these election integrity problems were solved in previous administrations. But I'm just a candidate today. But I'm here to tell you, I'm going to work with the legislature as governor. We're going to get these election integrity issues fixed. Tony Evers vetoed 18 bills that would have solved these election integrity problems. And no one, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, whatever, will ever have a question about election integrity here in the state of Wisconsin.
Switching gears a little bit, Wisconsin often lags behind other states in the amount of entrepreneurial activity in our business sector due to such things as lack of venture capital, fewer startup incubators, etc. What specific steps would you take as governor to promote a better entrepreneurial culture here in our great state?
Yeah, great question. Again, I'm not just a candidate or politician up here talking about creating jobs. I've done it. Created thousands of jobs, thousands of union jobs, thousands of non-union jobs. You know, probably one of the very first things I'm going to do on Inauguration Day, we're going to put that sign back up just this side of the Illinois border, open for business. Everybody's going to know that there is a businessman who got elected governor and is pro-business. Right now, there's too many liberals that think business is bad, profit is evil. That is not the case. As governor, I understand the people that run businesses, that employ the millions of people in Wisconsin, are the driver of our economic engine here in the state of Wisconsin. That's something to be celebrated. I want to have the word get out that Wisconsin is open for business. We'll get more entrepreneurs that will want to start a business here. And perhaps even better, if we have an entrepreneur that started a business, let's say hypothetically 3, 4, 5 years ago, and right now they employ 60, 70, or 100 people, they're going to want to expand here in Wisconsin. They're going to say, this is a great state. Taxes have been lowered. There's a pro-business administration in Madison. We're going to stop the excessive bureaucracy. You know, we could talk about farmers that I've heard that want to expand, manufacturers that I've heard wanted to expand. They're waiting 6 months, a year, 18 months for an expansion permit. Again, that's not taking care of your customer. You, meaning the state agencies in Madison, their customer, meaning businesses and taxpayers. We should be able to get those permits out quicker. These businesses, these farmers, they want to spend more money, in some cases millions of dollars, on expansion. But it's being held up by excessive bureaucracy. As I said, I'm going to meet with all the state agencies. We're going to make them more efficient. We're going to let them know, or have them re-understand, if you will, who their customers are. People are going to know that Wisconsin is business friendly. We have a tremendous, tremendous work ethic in this state. What do I mean by that? Michael's works in all 50 states, or at least we used to. There's some states we won't go to anymore. We've tried over and over and over. But people show up late, they show up hungover, they can't pass a drug test, they're not a good team member. I'll tell you, of all the 50 states, the best state of them all is right here in Wisconsin. So we know we have a great work ethic here. We know that businesses want to stay here, that want to relocate here. We know that we can get young men and women to want to stay here because it's a great place to raise a family. That's what we're going to do. We're going to make Wisconsin open for business.
Again, circling back to your opening comments, you shared the tragic story of young baby Kiwan and education issues here in our city of Milwaukee and MPS. Many attempts at reform have been tried, but challenges persist, obviously. What would your administration do differently that would significantly move the needle on improving education?
So I think what really is going to move the needle is bold leadership. That's what it takes. Like I said earlier, I'll sit down with, Mayor Johnson, County Executive Crowley, the heads of MPS, and when they say, "No, Tim, I don't know why you're here, Governor. Just go back to Madison. We've got this." I'm going to say, absolutely not. First of all, you're getting billions of dollars. I think MPS got $1.8 billion last year of state money. They say, absolutely not. It's broken right now. You have 9 schools where the reading comprehension score is 0. 60% of the students in the state of Wisconsin are not efficient in reading and writing at grade level. We are completely, let me rephrase that, or I'll hear about that later. MPS is broken, and we're going to fix it. I don't know what the solution is. Like I said, we're going to bring all the people together, from the mayor, from the county executive, from the heads of MPS, the school administrators, the principals, and we're going to say, how do we make this better? And if I get an answer like, we can't make it better, I'm going to say, unacceptable. I don't accept that as an answer. If they say, just give us more money and it'll get better, I'm going to say, that's not going to happen. Something significantly has to change. We'll put it all on the table. If we have to break up MPS and start from scratch, we'll do that. But we're also going to create competition in the education marketplace. We're going to do universal school choice, which empowers parents. If you have a great public school like Lamira, where I went, you should have nothing to worry about. Just like if you're running a good business, you're providing a good product and a good service to your customers at a good price, you should have nothing to worry about. But if you have a school where the reading comprehension score is 0, yeah, you should have something to worry about because you're failing those students. So we're going to empower parents. Parents are going to be able to show up at school board meetings and say, I don't like what you're teaching or how you're teaching. Right now they're beginning the stiff arm. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. We're the smart educrats. Well, parents are going to be able to take those tuition dollars with them to the school of their choice. The tuition dollars will go with their sons and daughters. This will create competition in the education marketplace, and competition is a great motivator. The rising tide will lift all ships.
The U.S. Supreme Court decision in Dobbs returned the issue of abortion to the states. In Wisconsin, the law regarding abortion is now governed by a statute enacted in 1849. Do you think that statute should remain in place? If not, what process do you envision for Wisconsin in adopting a new abortion law, and what provisions do you think that law should include?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked this question. So I've stated everywhere I go my position on this issue, and it's an important issue. The Evers administration, or the Evers campaign, and people on the left, they spent tens of millions of dollars on talking about abortion. I want to talk about crime. I want to talk about education. I want to talk about inflation. But here's my position on abortion. I have said that if the legislature puts a bill on my desk and in it is an exception for rape and incest, that I would sign that. Why is that? I'm not an authoritarian governor. I'm a governor who is common sense, who listens to the people. And the legislature is the representation, the representatives of the people. So if that's what the legislature puts on my desk, I will sign that. And they're still running ads today, tens of millions of dollars in ads saying I'm a radical pro-lifer. And I am pro-life. I won't apologize with that. But I will listen to the people. And I am not against contraception, as they're saying. I will never arrest a doctor, as they're saying. I'm a reasonable guy. So, this is an issue that I will work with the legislature on, and I've heard the people. I will not be an authoritarian governor. I will be a governor that listens to people, and that is the status of this abortion issue right now. But actually, I feel kind of good. They've spent tens of millions of dollars on this abortion issue, and it's just not sticky. So.
Shifting topics, inflation. It's eating away at the purchasing power of Wisconsin citizens, particularly senior citizens, and others on fixed incomes. What immediate steps can be taken at the state level to tame inflation and mitigate its effect on Wisconsin citizens?
Yeah, everybody's feeling inflation right now. $4 or $5 gas, $6, $7 diesel, which is driving up the cost of everything. Groceries. It is the number one issue out there. In every election cycle, the number one issue is the economy. It's the pocketbook issues. In this election cycle, it is specifically it's inflation. As governor, we all get paid in U.S. dollars. We all spend U.S. dollars. It really is a federal problem. How did we get to this place? Trillions of dollars were infused into the economy. The money supply became so big that our currency became inflated, which led to inflation. So I don't know if we have people in Washington, D.C. right now that are able to fix this problem. They should have seen it coming. I understand macroeconomics. I have an MBA from the University of Chicago. I could have told them that we were going to have massive inflation right now. They're raising interest rates, and the Fed will have to decide if they're going to keep doing that. What can I do as governor? All I can do is put more money in people's pockets, and that's what we're going to do through our massive tax reform here in the state of Wisconsin. I'm a fan of Art Laffer, the Laffer curve. What does that mean? If people have more money in their pocket, they're going to spend that money on more goods and services. They're going to buy more washers and dryers, or Harley Davidson motorcycles, and that will help stimulate our economy. That's how we will get more tax revenue in, is by having an even stronger economy right now. And on that note, we need to get more people back to work. And this is my one thing that they hit me on for the debate the other night. I said, we created a class of people during COVID that found themselves comfortable to stay at home. What do I mean by that? They got their unemployment check. They got their COVID stimulus checks. And I understand the COVID stimulus checks have now dried up. But everywhere I go, I hear the stories of people in Marathon County, in Brown County, in Dane County, Dodge County, where I grew up, that, hey, there's a whole bunch of people that just aren't quite ready to go back to work yet. Why? Because they're just living off their 26 weeks of unemployment checks. It doesn't take 26 weeks to find a job in this day and age. There's help wanted signs everywhere. It probably takes about 2.6 hours to find a job. You could certainly do it in 2.6 days. So we'll make sure that we get everybody back to work that wants to work. Why is that? I believe that working is good for you. It's good for your physical health. It's good for your mental health. It's good for your community. It's good for families.
Time for two more questions. Again, in your earlier comments and answers, you referenced you're a lifelong hunter, as am I. And in last week's debate, which you also referenced, you made a reference about our Department of Natural Resources, that it is broken. What do you mean by that statement, and what do you propose to do to fix what is broken?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. So it's not my opinion that the DNR is broken. Again, it's what I hear everywhere I go, from Superior to Kenosha, Sheboygan, La Crosse. Everybody's saying, I have a problem with the DNR, and it's twofold. One is businesses that are trying to expand and are awaiting a water permit or something like that. And two, it's hunters. I believe the people at the DNR need to be recalibrated as to what I said earlier about who their customers are. Their customers are businesses, people that pay taxes, people that want to expand their business. And the customers are hunters. Go talk to some hunters. They don't feel like the DNR has their back right now. They feel like the DNR is out to get them. I'm going to sit down with the DNR and all state agencies, recalibrate them, let them know who their customers are. And if we have to, maybe we break the DNR up into two parts, one that services the business side, one that services the hunter side, the sportsman side. I don't have the answers on that today, but I will sit down with the smart people. We'll figure that out. I'm well aware that we need to have a very strong secretary of the DNR. I'm going to surround myself with great people, strong people. We're going to have an outstanding administration, and people will not have questions anymore about the DNR nor any other state agency.
Thank you. Final question. As governor, you will have power to fill judicial vacancies at state courts, including the Wisconsin Supreme Court, when they arise. What will be your process for filling these vacancies, and what sorts of qualities will you seek in determining who should fill these positions?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. So this is very, very important responsibility for the governor. It's pretty simple though. The answer is pretty easy. I'm gonna appoint judges, if you will, or attorneys to judicial spots that follow the Constitution, that are constitutionalists. I am not going to put judges in there that are going to reinterpret the law how they think it should be interpreted. It's very clear what it says in the U.S. Constitution, in the Wisconsin State Constitution. It's very clear, I think, what our laws are. We're going to need more people in the judicial branch that follow the Constitution. Now, I can appoint circuit court judges. That has a lot to do with bail and the crime problem that I talked about. We're going to make sure that we have circuit court judges that are part of that process that I talked about to get crime down. Backing the blue, get rid of the catch and release DAs, have judges that will follow the law as well. It's what the tax-paying, law-abiding, hardworking people of Wisconsin want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes our Q&A.